Wizard of Oz. My granddaughter. Sorry about that.
Well, it sounds like this. Why you about that? Sounds like a fun day.
You want to know this?
We have.
Did you stay long enough to see the curtain get pulled back? If not, I can tell you.
Did she click her little word?
No, we were on Yellow Brick Road.
With the moleskins?
Yeah.
Okay. The meeting will come to order. And please call the roll.
Mary Jane.
Here.
Luther.
Here.
Becky. Here. Ralph.
We deferred accepting the minutes of the July meeting at our last meeting. We're not going to defer it anymore. Is there a motion to accept the July minutes?
Motion.
Yes, so our second.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Luther.
Yes.
Becky.
The what? July minutes.
That was the third last meeting.
Yeah, put your name up. I've already signed it. It's for the sign.
Okay. More didn't make it down then, huh? Told me to be here.
There's a Aaron Jane instead of what the red star is. Just a little.
That was already fixed. That was fixed, I believe.
Karen's name was corrected. Okay, her name got.
Well, I didn't see it fixed, that's why I'm saying.
I probably fixed it for mom. It was fixed on here. I don't know. I'll make sure.
We'll need to make sure that that gets done. There was one error on the July minutes. It was in Aaron's name. Aaron Kovac says Aaron Jane. So that's been fixed, I believe, but Aaron July, there's one for last August, because Ralph's name wasn't on. Well, we know that, and that has been
okay.
fixed. That's been corrected also. The July minutes, it's been moved and seconded to.
You said, okay, I did, yes. Now I said yes.
Okay. July minutes, are you in favor of approving? Thank you. The August minutes with the correction, which was made, because I told Mandy she cut that out, so she's fixed it on the official record to include Ralph Duncan as being present.
Yes.
Is there a motion to accept those minutes with that?
So moved.
Second.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Luther.
Yes.
Becky.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the warrants and payroll timesheets. So moved.
Second.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Luther.
Yes.
Yes. Ralph.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the transfer of interest to the respective funds? So moved.
Second.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Luther.
Yes.
Becky.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the transfer from the general fund to the police operating fund.
Motion made.
Second.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Luther.
Yep.
Becky. Yes. Ralph.
Yes.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the transfer from the general fund to the street department grant matching fund.
So moved.
Second.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Luther.
Yes.
Becky.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
We're going to skip right down to safety. We don't have anybody here. So we'll get that taken care of.
For the month of August, the police department handled 141 calls for service.
Took 12 reports, made 3 arrests, issued 5 citations, 35 warnings. A few notes on here that I have. All officers completed their yearly firearms qualifications. With Halloween coming up, I'd like to also purchase gift bags like I did last year. We go out to school and pass them out. So I was wondering if council would mind to pitch in like they did last year with that.
What did we do last year? Do you remember what we allotted for that?
That, I don't know, off the top of my head.
What amount of money did we spend? I don't remember.
I know when I just did the total amount just for the gift bags and the numbers they gave me, it was like $421.
For the candy and all,
Well, not for the candy, usually the candy.
bags for $400.
It's bags and bracelets and
Oh,
stuff like
okay,
that. I passed out
okay.
at school last year.
Yeah, it's fine. It's for the community, you're allowed to do that.
I'm just waiting on somebody to move on.
Oh, I make a motion that we buy the Halloween treats, bags, whatever, candy, whatever it is.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Peggy?
Did you,
Ralph?
did you need a money amount on that? Or does it matter? It matters, but I don't know.
400 take care of
I'm
it.
sure they probably
425 take care of it. What do we need?
I think without the shipping and handling that I got on it was like $421.
Cap it at 500.
Add that, I rescind that last motion and make a motion that we allot $500 to purchase bags and bracelets or whatever. Jeremy?
Mary Jane?
Yeah.
Luther?
Yes.
Oh,
Peggy? Yes. Ralph?
thank you.
Another thing that I got, I just wanted to remind everybody that there is a prescription drug box, drop off old prescriptions, pills. I cannot take syringes, I cannot take liquids. So if you got any old stuff laying around the house, family members, whatever, you can bring it down here and then we dispose of it safely.
Okay.
Another thing that I got, I just want to pass on to the community. 2 weeks ago, I got a couple calls on fake money, counterfeit bills going around and everything. In case it's not actually mine, it's all the money made it back to the bank, and the bank has to hand it over to the Fed. So I just want to put out there and let everybody know, pay attention.
Different bills, or was it one certain bill?
There was a couple tens, and then the big ones were hundreds.
Ooh, forget that. I've never had $100 bill.
What they're doing with the hundreds, they're washing a dollar bill. So if you mark it with a pen, it's going to mark right, because it's the same paper.
Huh.
So just pay attention, look at it, and everything else like that.
They should have a strip in there that should say 20.
It's
Should
still
be a whole
always
ragged
is.
thing, yeah.
Well, yeah, but they're using the old hundreds, the old style hundreds that didn't have the strip in it.
Okay.
And if you actually looked at it, you can see where the old ink
Okay.
did not come off completely, so you were seeing like the signature on the bottom of the bill. There was 2 signatures there. One was dark and the other one was really thick. So I just wanted to put that out there so everybody's paying attention in there.
Was there a certain place that this was done, or?
There's only 2 places here in town.
Okay.
Um,
They just didn't go to the bank and,
Well, no, it happened in 2 places here in town, and they did not catch it. The
Okay.
bank's the one who actually caught it.
okay.
So we've been working with that and everything, trying to figure out. And then the other thing I wanted to do, New Paris is a small department. You know, I've talked about, it's a small department and everything else like that. Most of the time, it's only a stepping stone for officers to come, get trained, get experience, and then they move on and everything. But this past month, we've had 3 officers that's reached over 10 years of experience in law enforcement. And one of them that I want to bring up and acknowledge is that Officer Clay Hurd, who who has actually 20 years of service and dedication to the field of law enforcement.
Okay, can you come up here? We'll get you on the tape.
So, I want to present you the certificate of appreciation for your dedication to the field of law enforcement for 20 years.
Thank you, Clay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you for your service. And staying with new parents, we
Yes.
appreciate
We
it.
do appreciate it.
So, and with that being, with all that being said, and there, Clay's had 20 years of experience. Altogether, as a department, for a small department of 45 officers, we average over 50 years of experience. And to me, that's pretty amazing, with us normally only being a stepping stone for officers to get trained in the arms.
I remember when Clay came.
It just means I'm old, I think.
Jeremy, thanks for recognizing that.
Yes.
May I interject for something? Please, a couple people asked me why we didn't have any coverage of police on the holiday.
Memorial
Last
Day.
Monday. Huh?
Memorial Day.
Labor Day.
Labor Day, I'm
Labor
sorry.
Day, yeah, Labor Day. A couple people wondered why we didn't have any police.
Any police coverage?
Yes, because we had two things going on. We had the Kiwanis auction, we had the Battle of the Bands down at American Legion, and they were wondering why we didn't have any police force that holiday. I said, I'll find out.
We did.
You did?
There's police coverage. Clay was actually here during that. During the morning, there was nobody here during the morning. So it depends on what time that actually took place.
Well,
There was coverage in the evening.
What's that?
There's coverage in the evening and then the afternoon.
Well, the woman down at the Family Dollar told me that she called the police, and I'm not saying what she said, because I'm not going to say her words for it, but she told me that she called the police because they were parking,
From the Legion parking over in her.
they were parking in front of her building, and that was what she was complaining about. She wasn't complaining about on the side, you saw that out here down there, that she was complaining because her customers didn't have a place to park. And then that's why she called the law.
Should have called the county.
All right. And
She
then-
did, she was,
She had to.
well, that's what she did.
And the county didn't respond?
Obviously they did. Did you come?
Yeah, I went there, and
I thought you
I
did.
moved a bunch of cars.
Okay.
And,
But the thing of it was, that more than her had asked me about why we didn't have any police coverage.
But we did have,
We did.
right?
Oh, for
That's what
what?
he just said.
In that evening.
That evening.
Yeah, so it depends on what time.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have 24-hour coverage.
I got that, I
I mean, we don't
understand.
have 24-hour coverage on a normal week.
But this was a holiday, and this is what people were complaining to me about.
All right, well, nobody came to me to complain about it, so this is the first I've heard about it.
Well, that's kind of sure they don't come to you, do they?
No, I mean,
You know, a lot of times they don't.
yeah, so,
While we're on the topic, I just got a quick question for Jeremy. With the Amish coming through town
yes.
with their buggies, are they supposed to bag their horses when they're coming through town? I mean, is that a rule or law? Because the only reason I'm asking is because for some reason, in front of my house seems the place to do their business.
Honestly, I don't know if there's any law on that.
There's an ordinance.
If they have to bag it or anything else like that.
You know, and I'm out there shoveling it up all the time. I was telling Mandy that today.
It's probably because of the bend in the road there in front of the post office.
Yeah, okay.
Fertilizer for those plants.
Yeah. You heard that, Ralph?
I think that one of the things we're going to have to look at, because we have a lot of different traffic than we used to with so many Amish families here now and planning to come here,
Yes.
are things like ordinances and rules for, allowing them safe passage on the streets and keeping our streets clean, making sure that they have rubber tires and not just metal so that we don't have our streets torn up, and making sure they have a place to park when they come into town. That lot down there that we've talked about, down by the library so often, might be a good place to allow horse and buggy parking. You know, it's off the street, you can pitch in there.
Put a hitch in the post.
Yeah, I think that there is one down at the elevator, isn't there? I think it goes down.
I think Mr. Regal put that on there.
But if they're
Are you
coming,
Nicole?
yes.
Oh, okay.
But if they're coming up to the bank or coming up to the library, that's kind of a...
Well, there's more
good
coming,
hike.
because I talked to one of them, his name is King, I talked to him over at Westler's Orchards, and he said that there's more coming.
Well, so that's something we are going to have to look at.
So then we have to think about an ordinance.
I'm serious about the manure ordinance.
Well, no, I know, but we could, we could do a more modern one, maybe.
Yeah, we will,
Give it
but
a shuffle.
I've seen it, it's in that great big old.
Yes, that was, so that's something we all have to be cognizant of and try to, you know, this hitching post idea that we have might be something
Not for
we
the
want to
whole
do.
lot, but just,
Well, I don't know, because if
Half
it's
of
a
the
horse
lot.
and a buggy, you know, we'd have to look at that lot pretty good. They take up quite, you know, if you've got 2 or 3 of them in there, eventually, you might need that whole lot. So that's something
I
that we
don't
should
think
look
it's used
into.
that much though, is it, with cars? I've seen a few cars in there now and then.
Sunday night, they must have some type of church service out here, okay?
Yeah.
Because 7 wagons loaded with them come by my
Okay.
house.
It's something that we are going to try to address pretty quickly. And I'd like, you know, I'm going to have Ralph go up and look at that lot. I know we can put grindings in that lot to even it out. I don't know if that would have to be sufficient for now, I think.
Did we have, when your court talk about having it paid, Ralph?
We did, but the cost was too high for the time, we didn't have the funds to do it with. And we were going to do it at the time we did the streets, but we used it to do the streets instead of.
Yeah, but it's more important to get all the streets done than it was
Well,
this.
this was back in 2015, and I remember about it.
We've been looking at doing something with it.
The cost factor was too great.
Yeah, I forgot you.
Anyway, if you can, Ralph, I'd like you to look at it, see what you think about
I am,
pitching in there.
I
And
went to talk to some other communities.
Yes.
Dealing with it at the time to see what they.
because most of it has to do with the traffic, you know, the buggy traffic coming in. So if you can do that, and maybe Jeremy can help you with some things on it, we can get something in place pretty quickly. And now, Jeremy had his review. And I don't know if we want an executive session to discuss this later, or if we want to talk about it now.
Might be a good idea.
It might be. So we're not going to talk about it right this minute. We'll wait until later, till we've seen all of you. And not hold you up. Of course, you're welcome to stay, because we will come out of executive session. I don't know what time of the meeting we'll be doing that. We'll have to see. Building. You can see on your agenda that Jimmy Ragsdale picked up the siding piece
Yeah.
in the corner, so
Yeah,
we
he
do
did.
have that. He had not repaired that previously. It had never been done.
Really?
Yes. So it's going to get done.
On that corner right there?
Where's that? Streets.
Wait a minute, on building, I talked with Luke.
Oh, excuse me.
What, yesterday or today? I can't remember. About the bus barn building.
Today.
Because it's getting mighty rusted and it's looking ugly. He said it wasn't leaking. He went up there and checked.
I've been in there
inside.
a lot. I went up there when it was raining,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't see any water coming through anywhere on the roof. I had Jimmy did make some repairs up there on that roof. And that day I went up there, it was raining pretty hard too. And I didn't see any water coming through.
Okay, so it's not leaking, it's just an eyesore, or it's becoming
Yeah,
mud?
it's getting pretty rusted. And some of the, didn't know.
There's wood in different places that's rotting out.
Yeah,
Probably
and
been-
there's critters getting
But I
down
told her,
there.
I says, it depends on what happens. That bus barn eventually may go. It hasn't been decided on whether the town's going to keep it or not.
Don't know that there's ever been any talk about getting rid of
around and let's say that you're working on building a park. In my opinion, you wouldn't want that bus barn there. There's not that much in there
Well, they're gonna have to,
that it's, to me, that it's that important. There's a little bit of equipment in there, but not much.
well, they used to keep the stage in there for the Apple Fest. Was it in there?
The what?
The stage for the Apple Fest? Where they
Like
had
a
their
A
entertainment?
platform.
A stage, no, I didn't see that.
Platform
No, I
stage.
didn't see that. I seen some small time equipment and a bunch of barrels and things like that,
Junk,
Junk,
maybe.
yeah.
Well, I think the barrels are trash barrels.
But at
They
some
don't,
point,
that's-
you're gonna have something to keep the equipment in there for the park, tools and things or whatever they need to do,
Well, if you're
whatever.
gonna
with.
do that, you're gonna have to do some overhauling on that barn.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm bringing it up now.
What we need to do is have somebody take a look at what we do keep.
At least paint the roof and fix it so the critters can't get in there.
If we're gonna keep it. Well, even if we're not gonna keep it, we don't want it to fall down and be a mess.
I think
So if we can do some minor things to it to make it look a little better, that, if you can look into that. And while you're at it, find out what is stored in there,
Okay?
how much it's used.
I will.
And so forth.
I'll make a list for you.
If you would, I would appreciate that very
All
much.
And it looked nice if some of the weeds were chopped down too.
Well, if
They're
you're weeds, they need to
mountainside.
be around that barn.
The whole,
I know,
the
that
whole
whole area
area.
back there is awful. I know.
Well, I talked to Jimmy, and Jimmy said he's got a dumpster up there. He got a dumpster up there. He's gonna take his backhoe up there, and he's gonna, like all those swings and stuff that are cemented in, he's gonna cut them off, get everything put in a dumpster, and do that, whatever he's doing with Richmond Recycling, I guess it is, and then the other stuff, he'll fill up, just fill it in. And then he's gonna take that backstop down too. The backstop, the old baseball backstop,
Okay.
the posts are starting to rot on it,
Okay.
and it's serving no purpose, none, zero.
So is it the fence that's still there? Is it still
That's
there?
about it, yeah.
With the weeds
Yeah.
growing up all over it.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to send people
Yes, it is.
letters saying clean your weeds up when all that mess is up there and down here too.
But anyway, he's gonna take care of that. So that backstop is coming down.
Okay. I knew he was getting a dumpster. I didn't know
Yeah,
he
I
had
talked to
it.
him.
And I knew he was planning on getting rid of that stuff, so
Yeah.
that's good.
Yep.
When he said, well, we're at it, whatever it takes, we need to get some kind of bush hog or something in there and try to get rid of those weeds.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on buildings? Streets, see that they've located the line for, what they've done is have them come in and make sure they can dig to put up some new signs. The signs are the buggy signs.
Yep. Yeah.
Warning of buggies, and we're also going to put up the handy signs.
Okay.
One down by the cemetery on that end, and one down by the ballpark on the other end.
On the highway.
On the highway, yes. So they will be in those two spots.
And if you guys don't know, you can take Cedar Springs Road, the detour around that way. I didn't know it myself till today, but the signs up here for semis and stuff like that. And,
Cedar Springs at the top of the hill where we open,
the only other thing I can think of is somebody painted those yellow lines down through the road there crooked. It starts out straight and all of a sudden it goes like this.
That's what New Paris is noted for.
What's he like
I think we talked about yellow lines just about as much as we want to. haven't we?
I said that for Ralph.
I know,
I just
I know.
figured Ralph would appreciate it.
Yeah. We have those things done. Do we know when they're going to come in and mark the parking spaces
Haven't
there?
heard anything yet, Jimmy had told me that.
Well, I noticed that the white lines on the outside edges of 121 and out this way aren't done yet either, so I don't know if we'll have to wait till they're ready to do all that.
We gotta
Probably.
wait on them.
Yeah, we will.
He did call to make sure they had us on lunch, they have us on lunch, they just
So
not
the
got
crosswalks
it yet.
have got to be done yet.
Yes, they do.
The parking spots have got to be done yet.
Is there a reason they haven't done all the, I know they worked on today, the approaches from the side streets and the parking areas? That's just the biggest
They're doing-
patchwork job I've ever seen.
They were working on them today.
Right. What was the reason they didn't finish those when they were
You had to
here?
get a smaller paper.
Yeah. They just got through with mine, with Park Street.
So that should not be a problem for people marching in a parade for Apple Fest. We can just get them down someplace.
They're out there working on it now, still.
That should be done. Good. I'm glad to hear it. What else have we got for streets? Talk about.
How many signs are we gonna have for the, horse and buggies?
3 right now.
Where are they gonna be located?
Oh, we got 5 now. He got 2 more than, okay.
No, you ordered mine.
Oh, okay, I thought you only had 3. My bad.
I was approached earlier by the American Legion asking me if the Chamber of Commerce was going to put up any signs. Speaking of signs, before we go any further, Fort Nash did, this is the work he did for us. He did both of them. He didn't charge us anything for them. So when you see Hort, I want you to high five him because he did a really nice job on these signs and we're so appreciative. And then to say that just a minute ago, we were talking about locating them. Now back to the Chamber and the Legion. Legion wanted to know if they could put flags on both sides of the street for the Memorial Day and whenever they, however long they leave them up. And I don't know, the Chamber has the little banners, but you can't put anything on those gate power and light poles anymore. The village is responsible for what goes on them. And we could
We don't
pass.
have to have their permission to put them on there?
Yeah, we do. We have to
Well, they
sign.
already have brackets on them for the flags.
You can't put, well, are they the strap brackets? Because that's all you're
No,
allowed to
they
have.
look
Well,
like the
then they'll have
metal.
to change.
Yeah, they're metal.
Metal straps that go
Metal,
around.
metal holders.
They're like,
Why?
You can't drill into those anymore.
Well, they're already there.
I can't help it, Mary Jane, that's what they're telling
So
me.
they're telling us you have to take them off?
Absolutely no holes can be made in the pole.
They're-
I know they're
So what
already
they
there.
going, they're gonna have holes when you take them off of there?
I don't know, I'm just telling you what they sent me.
Okay.
Anyhow, it's a seasonal thing. So that would be summer for the Legion, and if they want to put up if the Chamber was to put anything up, they could put it up in the fall for Apple Fest. Or they could share and go back and forth across the street. But there can only be one thing on each pole. They have to be on straps, they can't be, so if we want to allow that, we have to say, we'll police it and make sure that things are done the way they want it. That's how, I asked them in Lewisville.
are they allowed to use the existing flagpoles that are on there?
They're not saying that.
Are they saying no?
They're saying one installed on each pole.
What I'm saying,
On the
the brackets
roadside.
are already there. If you take them off, they're ever gonna have
Oh,
holes.
that's what I answered.
Yeah.
Why can't
says-
they use the existing one?
Seasonal attachments can only be attached to poles with bracket banding.
Or just glue a strap around.
Grandfather and man, hell, they're already there.
But
Yeah.
it's not our pole,
Yeah,
so
yeah, I
we
understand.
can't just say do whatever you want to. I mean, I guess we could, just ignore the whole thing. But because the Legion asked me, I looked into it. Because they had wanted this year to put them on both sides, but there had been an agreement prior that the Chamber got one side and they got the other. Now, that's an old agreement. It's not anything that I remember, do you? And maybe it was an agreement between the Legion and the Chamber of Commerce. It
Did
could have been like
you
that.
talk to the Chamber of Commerce about it?
I did.
What did they say?
They didn't have anybody to put them up. It was, they haven't had them up for, I don't think, over a year. They haven't had anything up. I
You
don't know
talking
if they
about the
had.
American flag?
No, I'm not talking about the
No.
flag, that's the Legion.
Oh, well, I thought you were talking about the Legion also.
Yes, but you asked me about the chamber and if I had talked to them.
If you had talked to them.
I talked to them, they're the ones that told me there was an agreement. And I believe that the Legion knows at one time they agreed to stagger. How much do I want to get into, do we want to get into this?
I talked to Antique Man, what's his name? Keith, yeah. And he's told me that he's been on the council, on the Chamber of Commerce for 10 years. And he said that it was never, he never knew any idea that the Chamber of Commerce did one side of the street for the American flag.
They don't do the American flag.
They never had.
No,
Then they're all,
they have their own banners.
I understand.
That's what they put up.
Okay.
And the flags are put up by the Legion. What they wanted to do this summer was put the flags, the Legion asked if they could put the flags on both sides.
The American flag.
Yes.
Okay.
But they didn't ask me until after Memorial Day.
I gotcha.
And it was a moot point then, but I think they're going to want to know next year.
We're responsible, we're going to have control.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It makes, the village has to be, the village government has to be responsible for the fact that they use the right things and it's done the way it's supposed to be. And there's a little, and a lot of it, is our Christmas decorations that they're thinking about. We don't have any, as far as I know anymore.
No,
They don't
they
have
don't.
one. I'm going to give this to you,
Okay.
okay? Because it requires
I want to see what
action.
they're talking about.
I will make you a copy, and we'll
Okay.
do it, I'm gonna set it right out there, and we will look at this and
Okay.
see. Because I'd like to be able to tell them if they want to put flags up on both sides of the street, they can. Or if the Legion or the Chamber has their banner thing, the little banners,
Right.
if they want to put them up, But when I asked about them, I was told they don't have anybody that's willing to put them up anymore, as far as the banners go.
Okay.
So,
But do they have banners up there right now?
no, they do not.
Okay.
They took them down. I
There's
didn't even
any
know
out
there.
there. There may be brackets or parts of brackets. And see, this is what Dayton Power Light objects to. They got all this junk hanging on them, and nobody's really even using it anymore. And if
Oh,
you
they
have
did
to
have
go up-
brackets up there for the wreaths that they used to have at Christmas time.
Yes, they did, but I don't know if they're still there or not. So
Probably.
it's something we're going to have to really look into, but
Okay.
I will make you a copy, and I'd like you to look at that first and then see what you
Okay.
recommend. All right? Anything else on streets? Anybody have anything else?
No.
Okay. Lights.
Here comes Susan, I hear. Close, close.
I had nothing on lights. Chris, what do you do about that light sale on your street? Chris Breyer?
Hi, Susan.
You not listening?
Chris, is there a light out on your street?
Two.
Two lights out on your street.
There's one out at Cherry and Spring on the corner.
Yes.
There's one out right in front of the Christian church.
Yeah, Steve told me.
Those have been turned in now, what, for the last 6 weeks, maybe?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I just turned.
Yeah, they don't want brackets, but they don't want us to have lights.
Well, and we're paying for them,
And
so
that was
I
the
don't
part
Okay.
Andy, get me the number you call and the numbers on them, and I'll call, and if we have to, every one of us can make a call to Dayton Power Light to see
Oh, I
if we
will,
can
for
smash
sure.
them.
It's Miami Valley Lighting's
Well,
responsibility.
whoever we call, we're gonna call.
We pay.
Yeah, well,
We pay
them,
DPL,
Okay.
but
No, in Miami Valley.
Miami Valley Lighting
that's who you have to contact, Miami Valley Lighting,
That's who
with
we
the
pay.
poll numbers and locations. Each one of them.
And that, we have no new ones there. Those two have been out for a month and a
Yes,
half.
right.
One, and the one down by the ballpark there is back on, is that
Yes.
correct? I thought you told me that.
When are the signs gonna go up?
Well-
And where?
I just said, they're going down here where they were.
I'm sorry.
No, They're going down by the cemetery. The first one will be down there, and the other one will be by the ballpark.
Okay.
Both of them on this main drag here, coming into town.
Okay.
Okay? And they'll go up as soon as they, I mean, I think they bought the post.
Said by the end of the week,
They should be up this,
by Friday.
by the weekend.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna hold on for a minute and have Susan tell us
Are you
what's
sure?
going on. Sure.
You don't have to do that. I
No,
have.
we're in committee.
We're late, you're fired.
You're not
late,
fired.
you're fired.
Well, okay, very good. Well, I have a few things to talk about this evening. I will start with the East Cherry Street project. Basically, everything's completed down there. I know there's a few areas where the seating's not the greatest, so we'll look at that here in the next month when we kind of gets a little cooler. So the 90-degree weather's not going to help out there. I do have a adjusting change order for the
Sure.
for the final part of the work, and then I also have the numbers. And I also have the numbers for the actual paving. So the adjusting change order for all the adjustments, the base repair that we had on East Cherry Street, as well as the sidewalk and curb that we poured around the bank that was extra, the driveway down at the other end, the 3 valve boxes were replaced at Lincoln and Cherry Street. So the total of that is $29,197.40. And I have a change order for you to approve, so we can get that processed.
29 bucks.
$29,197. $29,197.40. And then the paving of Main Street and Holly Mills will be in addition to that, and that amount is $28,239.99. And you will get a separate invoice from Prograde for that paving piece. And I think that was probably a little less than what we got.
Yes,
So-
it is a little less, and that's how we want to do it, because, yeah.
So, we'll be able to take advantage of the grant money, with the change order, and then this will basically be the paving of Holly Mills and Main Street, because we can't include any of that in
No.
our East Cherry Street project. That's separate. And you obviously got a big discount because they didn't have to move all the equipment in because the equipment was already here. So obviously that was good for you guys because you got it done a lot cheaper because of that. So what I have is approval of this change order for $29,197.40.
The work's been done, there's no objection to paying this additional amount. Somebody want to move that we pay?
Oh, I make a
The
motion.
change order.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
Peggy?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
So we probably need a motion to approve the $28,239.99 invoice for Prograde, which they will be forwarding to you with their final pay request that we're going to talk about here in a minute.
Motion made to pay the $28,239.99.
Second.
Second.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Yeah.
Peggy?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
And then the final pay request for Prograde for the East Cherry Street project, approval of that for $202,058.85. And all but about maybe $2,500 of that will be covered by the grant money and the money that you guys had set aside for the project itself originally. So we're over by about $2,500, but I think we did really well, and we were able to get the paving done, relatively a good number. So I'm happy with the project and the way things turned out, even though we kind of had a little bit of stumble there at the end, but I think it's good, so I'll take a motion for that.
Someone
Mary Jane.
make a motion that we pay.
$202,000. Oh,
Or $2,058.
No,
Yep.
$202,000.
Oh, okay. So moved.
$58.85. That's a tough number.
Didn't hear
I wrote it down as 2,000.
2,085.
You got it, there you go. Did you get that okay?
I did.
Okay.
But who seconded that?
Right.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Peggy?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Okay, then just an update on the Spring Street Bridge. Those plans are in the final stages in our office, and they'll be submitted to ODOT on Monday, the 16th, which is next week, so that'll get that part started. The tornado siren grant that we didn't get funded, I did resubmit that on August the 30th for the disaster declaration that was related to the tornadoes. That first disaster declaration was for flooding in February. There's a new disaster declaration that was about the tornadoes that we had on Memorial Day. So I did resubmit it to have it re-looked at for that. The flooding one, basically, I talked with the EMA people, and they basically said that by the time that they funded all the people that needed houses moved out of floodplains, and a few generators, there was no money left for anything else. So they suggested that we resubmit it. They'll look at it again. We should know something by the middle of September. And then if they don't have enough money to fund the tornado siren, there is a pre-disaster mitigation grant that's available. There's $16 million nationwide that's available, and we can submit for that. So if this doesn't work out, we got one more track.
We got a couple of
So,
them, we
yeah.
can open.
Right, he felt encouraged about resubmitting it for this tornado declaration, just because of what you're asking for. So hopefully it'll shake out in our favor, but if not, we'll try again. And then the other thing I want to talk with you about has to do with the park. I did work with 2 remediation companies, and I did get 2 separate bids. Based on the Ohio Revised Code, both bids were above $50,000, which I don't think anybody's surprised about. And so based on the Ohio Revised Code, if you are going to sign a contract with somebody for more than $50,000, you have to publicly bid that project. So I haven't been able to find any way around it, because that rule doesn't really have to do with streets or this or that. It's pretty much anything. So my suggestion at this point is that you authorize us to advertise that for bids. We'll get it in the newspaper, we'll get the information out to the 2 companies I got numbers from, and probably a couple others. By the time we get to your next meeting, we'll have accepted those bids, because I'm thinking that we can probably take them on October 3rd or 4th, and then by the time your meeting comes along on the 7th, we'll have those bids in hand, and we can authorize moving forward with that. So at this point, I don't really think it's probably in your best interest to put those numbers out there publicly, because once something becomes public, it never goes down. It usually goes up. So knowing what I know, I suggest that we basically put it out for bids. So authorize the bidding is what you'll need to do, and then authorize us to prepare a bid packet for you to be able to send to these people so they have something to bid from. And then by your next meeting, we will have bids. And then the other thing we need to do is we need to put the application together for the capital bill money, because it's basically yours, but you have to apply for it. It's kind of backwards. So we still need to do that. So I think at this point, if you can authorize that as well.
I'm not sure I already did that.
You did, okay. I think we were just gonna, yeah, I think, but we were gonna try to wait and see what happened to make sure this was within where we thought it was gonna be, and it is. I feel comfortable that we'll be within the number, based on the numbers I got, we're right where we need to be. So I feel good about that. So the other thing I'd like to do when we do this bidding is I would like to put an option in there that these people can also give us a bid to tear the building down. We don't have to take their bids if we don't like them, but it's a way to get it out of the way.
Yes.
And then if we get the numbers and we all feel like it's more than what we think it should be, I know Rick Van Winkle's gotten some numbers around 100,000 or 125, number of years ago. So if it's a lot more than
It
that,
was
we'll
more
know.
like 500,000.
Oh, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Not to just tear the building down.
Just
Yeah,
to
it
tear,
was.
no, it wasn't.
One that I got was.
Oh, really? Okay, well, I know he got one from
Village shows in Richmond.
Okay, he got one, I thought it was from some guy in Camden. You remember?
Yes.
And it was
Yeah,
like
and it wasn't
100,000.
near,
anyway, being that, what I'd like to do is put an alternate bid in there for people to be able to bid on tearing the building down. If we get a good number, we can award it. If we don't like the numbers, we just won't award that, we'll award the remediation and we'll rebid the tearing the building down. And, but I just think if we could do it, maybe get it out of the way, maybe, we could save some money on some advertising. So that's what my suggestion is.
Susan,
Yes, sir.
I know you don't want to release what the numbers were. Were they close?
The two?
Yes.
No, really.
Okay. Is everybody kind of firing blind based on what they think might be in there, or how are we
No,
qualifying?
they got the report, the remediation report that was done by Environmental Assessment Services out of Franklin. They all got a copy of that report.
Okay, is that a current report, or is that one from a couple years ago?
It's from a couple of years ago, but nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed as far as.
My understanding was a couple
Still
years ago,
in there.
the entire, or both phases of the inspection were completed. Is that?
All we did was we did an asbestos and a hazardous waste report. And that didn't seem to be a problem for the people that were bidding on the project. I think the one guy just plain didn't want it.
Okay.
So, and the people that had done the report recommended that I call him, and so that's why I did. So I think he's just not interested. The other guy thinks he's very interested, but I just don't think he is. So, and being that we're over $50,000, we're really in a good situation anyway. So, we don't really have a choice. But I feel comfortable that we can get a number that fits our budget, and that was what I was trying to make sure of.
So,
Is there a motion
I make a motion.
to allow Moat to put the remediation of the asbestos out for bid with an alternate attached to tear down the building afterwards? Is there a second?
Yes.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Peggy? Yes. Ralph?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it. Great. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. All right. I'll be here for the rest of the meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Kathy, before we move on, Chris, is there anything you want to present to the council?
Several things, not all we could accomplish here tonight. Main thing was the paperwork has been submitted for our partnership with the Dayton Foundation. That was signed by Nicole and I, returned to them today. So as soon as they get that and their president signs off on it this week, we will be up and going as a nonprofit under the Dayton Foundation, which will allow us to go out and solicit donations and be able to give them the receipts and the documentation they need for tax purposes and so forth, which is what our goal was all along. Starting out, we were going to do it ourselves, and I got the opportunity to go with the Dayton Foundation, and so far things kind of fell right into place the way we wanted it. And again, it should be within the next week, it'll be official.
I have to tell the council.
Go ahead.
I have to tell the council too, for the poker run coming up on Saturday. I know that they've got all the food, they've got everything together. They've got all the things that they're going to auction, things that,
Prices.
prices, all this
Yes.
stuff is like A1. They've got it all prepared, the committee does. So, they've been working hard at it too. So, and then from what I understand, they're looking at 100 or more bikes. Call them for it. It's a good thing.
And people who don't want to drive in the poker run or be in it can come up to the Legion around 4:30 or something like that, be a part of the deal, pay $5, you get to eat,
Yep.
and you can bid on any auction items you want to or anything like that, just to help support them. But that'll be Saturday.
Also, Kathy, before we move forward too much, at some point, sooner rather than later, I'd like to get a meeting with the committee, with council as a whole, to kind of iron some things out and let you all know the things that we can't cover in here necessarily before we get some open communication, but not violating any sunshine laws, obviously. I don't know what we can do as far as
I don't
a
mean
work
it
session.
doesn't
or-
count
Set up
on
a
me as a
special
whole,
meeting.
it'll have to be a special
Yeah.
advertising meeting.
If we have a special meeting, just like as a work session, so we can all sit around the table and
A work session, as
Yes.
long as there's no decisions made, but if it's a council, if the council's involved, we have to have an open.
That's why
open
I'm asking
council
that.
meeting, yeah.
because I mean, I'm leery about getting a couple of you at a time even talking, obviously, because of violating sunshine laws and so
We can
forth.
do
So
that.
what can you folks do to where we can bring the committee to meet, sit down and meet with you guys all around one table?
Set up a meeting,
Okay. You guys do what you need to do, and I'll ask
special
you.
meeting.
Doesn't have to be here. Can we go someplace bigger where we can kind of spread out a little bit more and have everybody?
Where?
I get one of the churches in town.
I'm
I'm sure I can do Methodist Church, Fellowship Hall.
Oh, yeah, well, that.
That way, so we're not
Wherever you
cramming
want
it in here. So I think there's still a lot of, there's some disconnects between what we're doing and our vision and what your all's vision is, and little things that we need to get ironed out to know, okay, are we responsible for this, or is the village responsible for this, things going forward?
I think it's a good idea.
Can you do that outside?
Just when you get the meeting set up, make sure there's time for the public.
No,
to be
that's
notified.
I really think that I'm concerned that it needs to be a public meeting. If you're going to have a big, like a town hall, if you're going to have a big meeting somewhere else, I think the public needs to, doesn't mean they're all going to come charging in there, but,
You know, if people do, I kind of welcome it. I mean, that's
Okay.
why we tell our story too.
I just really would feel better if it was a public.
I'm like you, I don't see a lot of people showing up outside, but if they do,
No.
hey, great, don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, though.
Okay, well, if we have to get a special meeting, that's something you guys would have to set up and advertise then, or what?
Well, we would want to know what was convenient for you and your committee. You can't just, we're not going to just go up there and sit, if that's where we're going, to the Fellowship Hall, St. Paul's, or wherever we are. We could hold a pub, you've had a town hall meeting in a lot of different places, if you think you're going to need that kind of room. But
Why don't you get with the committee, figure out a
There's
date?
not one date that's gonna work with everybody. If you guys set the date, we'll have our people there. That's easy. I mean, it's hard enough with our meetings, sorry, if the council meetings, get all the council members here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's,
Yeah.
if you guys set the date and do what you need to do, we'll have our people there.
Okay, we'll just take a look at it, and,
How soon you want? This month, next month?
Yeah, I would probably wait till after Apple
I
Festival.
think that would be helpful to wait
Okay.
Okay. We'll get it done.
till sometime in October.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Also, along with the lines of demolition, and I know we have to get to the remediation part first. There's still some questions about what is on site up there of value. What is there up there that we can, either us as the park foundation or you as the council can recoup?
For like an auction or something? No?
I think Jeremy could answer your question on that, because I don't think there is anything.
There was some scoreboards on basketball.
Hold on a second. There's, the bigger thing right now we're looking at is the bricks.
Is a what?
The bricks
Oh, yeah.
from the building. And if I can grab a little research on that,
So we've just had multiple people in the committee that have had multiple people from the community come up to us and ask us, if, when they tear the school down,
Can
if
we
we're gonna sell bricks, so we're gonna do this, and we talked about, through the National School Foundation, they sell the bricks that go along as you walk in. That's not really feasible because
Not that kind of brick.
they're not that kind of brick, and it's about $22 a piece to get them engraved. And I know the school foundation only sells them for $40, so they don't make really any money off of them. They just do it as a service. But we've talked about other communities where they've taken them and wrapped them in cellophane and put a sticker on it that says, this is from Jefferson School.
Yes. Yes.
But we were talking about, safety of when that demolition occurs, going in and having them set the bricks, as many as they can salvage aside and that, so forth and so on, and just kind of getting our group said that we would be more than happy to be able to come up, get the bricks out of the piles or whatever and clean them.
But again, it's a safety factor of, you know, who's let on site.
And the
So-
arch.
Oh, yeah, and the headstone and that's over the top. I know like Holmesburg School, that lives just south of Holmesburg, when they tore that building down, they saved the thing that says Holmesburg School.
Yeah.
And they rebuilt it as a kind of just a brick facade sign that shows an empty lot.
That sign's in good shape still.
Yeah, we talked about that and possibly the cornerstones. I know there's a cornerstone on it with a date.
There are
I
some
think
things at the top.
there-
too,
there-
that-
Yeah.
I have heard conflicting reports from people who have been in there, both sanctioned and unsanctioned. There are things of value still in there. Now, my question is, I'm not an antiquities dealer or anything to put a value on it, but I feel there are some things in there that either have monetary value or historical value, if not just the new parish, but possibly the county historical society. My biggest fear is anything that might be in there that has value to someone doesn't get put in the basement covered up with grass.
There's a lot of interest from the Jefferson alumni, the last one we had, and if the building was ever torn down, a lot of people want those bricks.
Well, yeah.
Right, and we thought, you know, that would be a good fundraiser for the park, you know, to sell those individual bricks and, you know.
And we brought up even saving some of them and doing a monument type thing out in the park. with
Yeah.
bricks
And-
from the existing.
And there's construction value in some parts of the country for people having houses and reusing those bricks in construction. Now, how much we salvageable out of it, I don't know, that's not mine.
I don't know,
That's
Terry,
my
and
thing.
you know,
But there's avenues rather than
it's
just,
a lot of work.
well, this whole process has been a lot of work.
But I'm
There's gonna be a lot more going
I'm sure
forward.
Susan might know too, there's probably companies that will come in and pay for those bricks and get them and clean them.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, if that's possible, I mean, we can do something with the bid to tear the building down and say that we want to salvage like the beach items. You know, obviously it may increase the cost, but if there's sentimental type things like the arch or what have you, you know, I'm sure we can name that stuff to have, you know, and then you guys can reuse it. And, let me have a couple conversations with some demo contractors about how we go about the brick. But I think there's a way to do it, I'm just not sure what it is, so that we don't put something out there that just increases the cost, and then you don't make as much money back as what it cost you. But I'm sure there's a way to do it, I don't know what that is, but I can find out.
I know like, a friend of mine sold their family farm and like 2 months later, a guy from company from Colorado came out and bought the bank barn, tore it down piece by piece, and shipped it out to Colorado and basically paid off the farm.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to touch it. And so I don't know if there's companies like that that will come and for a pile of bricks of, you know,
You
100
know,
different
that
bricks.
guy was, go ask him
I think
who
your
it
idea is a
was
good
that he
idea.
sold to.
Yeah, I just want to get ahead of this, so it's not just we're in demolition and as an afterthought, hey, we wanted to, never mind, you know. Or you stay ahead of it.
Chalkboards or scoreboards or anything like that that might still be inside before they
Everything
start.
is still inside.
Okay, this is my, and
It's attached to the building.
I've been
It's still there.
told
I don't know
over-
what shape it's in, but
I've been told over and over, well, you can't go in there, it's an insurance issue. What do I need to do insurance-wise or waiver-wise? And I say this because, and I'm not patting myself on the back or anything of that nature. I've walked into burning buildings and we're shaping that for 30 years for fun. I'm pretty sure I can handle what's in there. There's we need to look and see, and I can't do it by myself again unless I go in there and video or take pictures. But maybe use somebody, one of our assets in town like Keith Taylor, somebody who has an idea of what some things up there might be worth or where there might be a market for them. But what would we have to do?
we'll have to
To get it
check with our
right.
insurance company. I'll just be honest with you. I'm not anxious for anyone to go in there. It's falling down, the walls are falling in. It's not safe.
I understand this. I will sign a waiver, and I'm not sure, we'll check with the Dayton Foundation that we're not covered under their insurance if we do it as a form, because it would be for fundraising. to go in there and actually see what's available. There's got to be a way to do it. I'm trying to, I will do this legally. I mean, it's accessible illegally. I'm not willing to go to jail for trespassing and get the answers I want. But there's got to be a way that we can work around to get us in there, or get a couple of us in there.
Let's talk to our insurance company and find out what we need, if it's possible to allow someone to go in or not.
Because there's people go in
Someone
there.
should go in there by themselves.
Chairman, what do you think?
Could,
You know, my opinion.
Yeah, I do, because I was told to ask you.
I don't think anybody should ever set foot in that building.
If
What
that's the
about
case,
going in there when they tear it
I've
down?
been in there multiple times.
Okay.
People's been in there and that
this is my thing, Jeremy.
oil all over the floor, the floor's pilling up.
I understand that you've been in there and you are, for law enforcement reasons. What would make you safer in there than would make me safer in there?
I don't want it, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't even want my guys to go in there unless I have to. That's the thing. The one whole section up there, the whole inside wall is missing.
Okay.
It's laying down on the ground, you can see the outside bricks by looking through
Okay.
there. So at any moment, at any time, the whole wall can fall right through.
I've also crawled into buildings where I've walked 3 feet in the front door, there's been a hole.
Well, I mean,
all right, this is getting lengthy, and I agree it's valid. We could check with our insurance coverage and see if there's a way of what that would be. But is this something that we can discuss at this meeting?
Yes, certainly. I mean, I just want to stay ahead of this before we got to the
Yes,
demolition.
because we're not ready to, I mean, we won't even have bids until October.
And I'd rather not do it
So
in
we're not
January.
ready to do any, and remediation is going to take a while, and it'll have to be done first. So there won't be any demolition other than getting what it takes to get the asbestos out. So we will, we'll be prepared to give you whatever answers we can get.
I appreciate that. And then you guys will set a special meeting and work session up for us?
We'll get it set up and let you know.
Outstanding.
I got those.
And you think you would like to go to St. Paul?
Yeah,
It
if
would
you
have
give
more
me,
of
if you give me a date, I'll approach them. If not, I know the Presbyterian Church is always available for us. I'll find us a
The only
place.
problem with Presbyterian Church is that it doesn't have handicap access. I don't know if you've got
Downstairs does.
anybody that, I beg your pardon?
Downstairs, does.
Be the only way you do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want, I'm not being in the sanctuary or,
Okay.
yeah. I wouldn't see there being a problem with Methodist Church, but I don't want to commit to that without asking them, obviously.
It's fine. We'll
We'll figure it out.
see what we can do. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nicole, you got anything? Okay.
Oh, I have one more thing.
Brad.
One thing we also talked about, Luther, about the basketball courts, we were wanting to get repaved after the Apple Fest, and we had a bid for that, but we were waiting on Jimmy
I
and
talked
about
to-
drainage and.
I'll tell you right now, I talked to Jimmy. Me and Jimmy went up to the basketball courts, okay? The water that sits on the basketball courts, that water is not running from the sides over and in. That's water that rains on the courts and sits there. Of course, you got a low end here, but then, you know where the light pole is there, kind of like in the middle of the court? There's a big area right there where the water just sits, and you can see that the concrete and everything is starting to deteriorate there. And then on the northwest corner is another low spot, okay? So when I talked to Jimmy about it, Jimmy said to run ditches, to run lines down the side, well, you would have to go where all that water's standing. You would have to cut them out, put drains in, put catch basins in, run them out through the side. And he says that's a waste of money because
That's already been addressed with the contractor we've been dealing with for the pavement, the way he is going to slope the course to get the runoff. He's identified where the water's coming, where it stands, with the way that he will, if you can picture, there'll be a drop from the center going off to the edges, to the east edge and the west edge. Okay?
he told me the best way to run that water is in that southwest corner because that's where, because when the water runs to the southwest corner, it runs out into the grass, it will not backflow, it will absorb and be,
The problem with that is get the court to slope like that, because that was part of around and put 9 inches of
You're
pavement.
gonna, yeah, you're gonna have to build it up there some, you know? But to put trenches down on the outside, it's not gonna do you any good.
The way,
Do you have any
yeah,
suggestions?
we're trying to reinvent the wheel here. What was asked was if we would be able to have,
We need to talk about it.
Well, I talked to Jimmy about it, and I thought, you know, to try to get his opinion on how it should be done.
okay,
Okay, my understanding is, and I'm not trying to like get in the middle of this, but my understanding is that you worked with Kurt, the paving guy, to basically reshape the court so that the water runs off to the side. Is that correct?
right, so there's no low spots, they won't be gathering.
All right, so you're gonna like build it up in certain places.
So
and
it'll
other
it'll most
places.
likely kind of be, you think of a football field.
All right,
A football field isn't completely flat, it's crowned in the middle.
correct.
Same way with the basketball court, it'll be kind of crowned in the middle,
Kinda like a
and,
road.
yeah, kind of like a
Yeah.
road, and it'll
So-
drain off so that, yeah, so it'll drain off to the east and west ends.
Right.
So we were talking about putting the drainage tile on the east and west end. We were trying to figure out to daylight it in the creek or connect it to city sewers.
And I think that's what Jimmy doesn't understand.
Well,
He's
you know, if
thinking
you go
about
look
the way
at
it is
it,
right
that
now.
originally, I think Ralph knows what I'm talking about, it was an ice rink, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you know, that blacktop is, hell, it's this high on the on the one side. So are you gonna put that much blacktop down to get it to run over?
No, that,
Yeah, there is too.
I understand that part, are you talking about where it slopes off the road, off the driveway?
I'm talking about with the basketball courts, the east side of the court.
Okay,
That blacktop is up over a foot,
The edging.
yeah, on the edge.
that's, yeah, so.
So are you wanting to push the water up to the outsides?
Yes,
So you're gonna bring the water up that high?
at that corner, it's up a little bit, but it'll be sloped, the actual grate or the drains will not be in the grass, it'll be on the edge of the court. Okay, so whatever runs down off that side, whatever runs downhill, where it is raised and dropping, will go into that drain.
I
Feed out.
think what we'll do is I'll just go up there with you or Brad and we'll take a look at it, and that way you can explain to me.
I mean, I can
I don't know,
suggest
you know.
if it would be helpful, I can have Darren come down, because he's already looked at the court. He looked at it before when we were doing Cherry Street. And maybe between like him and Jimmy, and we could get your paving guy here. And if you guys want to be there in Luther, we'll just kind of, like, all meet there, look at it, talk about it, come up with a plan, and then just move forward.
I think that's an excellent.
You know, and I just think
You're
all the
very
right players need to be there at one time. Would that be all right?
Just let us know.
That way everybody gets kind of the same vision of what,
And then you
paving
figure out
everything
what's
looks
the cheapest way to deal with the drainage, so that you're not building up too much and spending a lot of money there, versus spending too much money to do a bunch of drainage that maybe you can do something different. That's just my suggestion. And then that way, one of you guys can be there with Kurt, and then we can have Jimmy there, and I can have Darren there. He probably can't do it till next week, but, if you wanna maybe get a hold of Kurt and let me know when you and Kurt.
Yeah,
when you
just
guys
get hold
are
of me or Alan, and, we'll get hold of her, as long as it's in his schedule.
Yeah, because I mean, as far as like, Darren lives in Richmond, so he's even like come through here on his way home, and it'd be better to do it later in the day for like you.
Right.
You know, and maybe Kurt could, fit it in at the end of his day versus breaking up the middle of his day. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, would that be all right?
Yep.
And then that way we can get Jimmy there, and one of you guys can be there, and
I'll be there.
just figure it out.
Yeah, okay.
Is that all right with everyone?
Yeah.
Everybody can be up there at the same day, at the same time, and that should help. Thank you, Susan. All right. We are ready for finance, and we have a resolution.
Thanks, guys. Come
Thank
back.
you.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye-bye. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. I'm not going to read all this, if that's all right. There's a copy of it on the table for people, if they want to look at it. What we're certifying is general fund money, $20,080 inside the 10 mil limit, and $25,690 outside the 10 mil limit. And the general fund, another $28,030 outside the 10 mil limit. Police levy current expenses, $28,540 outside the current for the 10 mil limit. Police levy, $24,910, 3 mil outside the 10 mil limit. Total inside 1.8. Total outside millage 9.7. Total monies to be derived, $101,560 plus $25,690. So that's $127,270. 250. These are what we're certifying. All these levies that we have, we're calling on the auditor that these are correct and that we'd like her to tax that way. The taxes will be levied the way this says. Okay? And this goes to the Budget Commission, and it's Resolution 2019-08. If you want it read verbatim, I can do that, but I've explained, I think, what it is. And is there a motion to accept Resolution 2019-08?
I make a motion that we accept what was the number?
2019-08. Yes.
Second.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Peggy?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
As this has to be certified by a certain date, is there a motion to declare an emergency and waive the the three reading rule on this?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Peggy?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Anything else on finance? Mandy, you got anything else? Sanitation?
We've got some letters sent out the last couple of weeks, and thank Jeremy and Kathy for their mistakes that we made. They've been corrected. And I also, Amanda has also sent in for us the assessment on the places that have been being mowed, which is Arnett Tool, the ditches, and that lot over there behind the laundromat. That's in Mr. Arnett's name, but it is, his taxes have been assessed for $850, and that's for how many months of the year? The year isn't over yet. Whatever, there's,
Last bill, which was,
probably might need mowed a couple of more times, and that'll be it for the year, for the season.
it's reviewed at the program.
And then the other property, which has been, I don't know, we've been going through this a good 10 years that I know of, and why, I don't know what the county or anybody's doing with it. I need to check on it, is the Joseph and Rosemary Nugent, 208 Copeland Street in Engle Edition. Their taxes have been assessed for $300. And there's another property that hasn't, doesn't have an amount on here, which Amanda will be turning that into. is where the old First National Bank is on the corner of Main and Washington at 101 South Washington is the address. The guy that, it's been repoed, I guess. That's the building that the chamber's looking at to get torn down to put maybe a parking lot up there. They've been trying to purchase that, or they've been working on it for several years now. The grass hadn't been mowed, and Bonnie was mowing it when she was up on, before she moved to where she's at now. And it was real tall, so I started having Randy take care of it because nobody's doing anything with it.
Is anybody going to mow Kevin Davis' place?
Yeah, we have a letter going out to him. I didn't know that it was sitting empty until Ralph brought it up, and what we're having a hard time with, which I just got Kevin's address.
He lives on Lee Road, you know where that is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He lives on Lee Road.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the house number or anything. But his daughter had lived there, and evidently they moved somewhere else, and I didn't know it, but it will be moved soon, as soon as he gets the letter, which will be going out hopefully Wednesday. That's all I have, I think.
You're working on one thing.
Oh, I'm working on the ordinance. There's so many things that's been left out of the ordinance that we can't act on, and motor vehicles is one of them, unlicensed ones.
We have the old one, the current one, the new one, and the one from Greenville, that we just need to get together.
Yeah.
We
And
can't use any of those.
Yeah, no, not until we put it in our own. It used to be in the old ordinance that I'm familiar with the most, that I used the most. Somehow, a new one was written and that was left out. So we have no authority at this time until we get this new ordinance and put it back in there.
I think we just need to go through all of them, find the good points, and get them
Yeah.
good.
So I'm gonna go through all the
Has
old ordinance.
been done.
I'm going through the one I like the best.
No, that's
And
fine.
that's what I'm gonna come up with.
We can look at all of it and stick whatever we need to in there, but we need to have that in place by March because we need to hit the ground running next spring.
Yeah, I like to get letters going by April anyway, or May.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Jane. Planning has not had a meeting. The board, how's the board doing?
Everything's going pretty good. We do have the water line completed under the creek on Spring Street. That project is for the most part done. The contractor has to come back. He's going to seed the banks on the creek after they settle and also repair the blacktop on the street, which was part of the deal.
Spot there.
So, yeah, he's supposed to do that in September. So we should have that.
Are they the ones that clean the brush up too and everything?
Yeah, we did that.
Okay,
He took it out, yes.
okay.
To run
That
the line.
looks nice, a lot better down
Yeah,
there. That's the way
absolutely.
all of it needs to be done.
But the line is operational, it's hooked up, it is working, so we have a loop system.
It didn't take it too long to plug up there. You know, the water got pretty dirty.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, although you flushed it, we flushed everything we
Yeah.
could.
Anyway, I appreciate that, and yeah, I'm concerned that we get something on those banks as soon as we can. I know we have to let
Yes,
it
it should
set
be done this month, is what we've been told.
before we start getting monsoons again.
I got a question for Jeremy. I don't know if there's an ordinance for this or not, but I have a discrepancy with my son and a couple other people in town about electric bikes and the little motor scooters, or little, whatever you want to call them. And I told them they're not allowed to ride them on the sidewalks. They have to ride them in the street, correct?
Technically, they shouldn't be on the sidewalks.
Pardon me?
Technically, they should not be on the sidewalks.
Who's riding, kids or?
Kids.
Little kids or?
Kids, 10, 11, 12, 12.
Oh,
But some of them are, and some of the scooters have, they have motors on them. I mean, they run 25, 30 miles an hour. But, they don't have license plates and lights and stuff like that on them. So our ride them down the street, or,
I
No.
don't think they're allowed on the street, no,
Technically,
they never
they don't have all
have.
that stuff, and they
That's
shouldn't be
all.
on the street either. They shouldn't be on the sidewalk, they should be in your yard.
okay, well, then, you know, and I told them that basically you would have to go to the school or somewhere or out, you know, whatever, take them out somewhere. And that's not acceptable as far as they're concerned. And,
It wouldn't be with us either, because we'd be liable for them.
None of it's.
okay, well, you know, and then the
I don't
thing,
know that we're talking about our school, are we?
Yeah.
The park?
yeah.
You want them at the park?
No, I said I didn't know whether they should take them up there and ride them or take them out in the country or somewhere. And so the argument I'm having is, well, why in the hell can't we ride them down the sidewalk? You know what I mean?
Because people walk there.
Well, that's what I said, you know what I mean? Well, you know, we spend lots of money on these toys or so forth like
That's
that,
the
you know?
problem, everybody buys them, there's no place to ride them.
Well,
And then-
yeah, you know, and I'm just trying to keep people from getting hurt and people from, you know, and,
Unless there's a farmer or somebody, you could talk into taking them out there and riding them. That's always been a problem. It's the same way with.
well, you know, and the bad thing about it is, you know, and my grandsons are guilty too, because they come down the sidewalks on them things.
Yeah.
And I told my son, I said, man, they're not allowed to do that, you know? And,
They're not gonna listen to you.
I don't know, we can look into what other places do as far as
yeah,
motorized
I
bicycles.
just didn't want to see anybody get
It's the
hurt.
same as dirt bikes or anything else. They're
You ride-
not
what do you
allowed,
do? You
they're
ride
not
them
allowed on
ticket
the
for it?
street, they're not allowed anywhere. People often even buy them, but they don't have any
You're not
place to
supposed to
ride.
ride anything that's classified as an automobile.
But they do anyway.
A vehicle on the sidewalks.
Okay.
Okay. Resolution and ordinance, we have covered our resolution.
Chris, before you leave, someone mentioned a while back about someone you knew that might be interested in cleaning the building.
Cleaning what building?
This building, you have someone that comes and cleans your office.
No, but Jackie Stewart's or Jackie Simpson's daughter-in-law.
Was it Lunsford?
No,
No.
I've got her name up the garage, I don't remember.
Okay.
She lives on 320. She cleans the Methodist church.
I'll call you if you think of it. Call me, and if I'm not home, leave a message.
Amanda, or, yeah, Amanda Lane.
Amanda Lane.
Is that Jack's daughter?
That's Jackie Simpson's
Daughter.
daughter-in-law.
It's his daughter.
Daughter, that's correct.
Could you ask
Jack's daughter.
if, or give me a number so I can
I've got it
have
in the garage. I don't know.
Okay. Call me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jane. All right, let's try to get back on track here. All right. We are ready to go into executive session. Has anybody got anything else? Then the chair will ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
Motion made.
There's a second.
Second.
Mary Jane?
Yeah.
Woodson?
Yes.
Henson?
Yes.
Brown?
We will be coming back. Is there a motion to return to regular session?
Motion made.
Oh, so when you were at second.
Mary Jane?
Yeah.
Woodson?
Yes.
Peggy?
Yes. Brown.
Yes.
All right. Jeremy had his annual review. He has reviewed his officers. He recommends a 3% raise for all of them. And we recommend 3% for him. He has asked that he be allowed to take paid time off in lieu of the raise, part of the raise, or all of the raise. It comes out to 63 hours a year.
Yeah, that seems to me too many with our shortage that we have of the police officers.
Is there,
But
is anyone able to make a motion to amend we'll need an ordinance to amend the,
how could cut it in half or something and give him a few days and the rest in pay?
this comes to almost 8 days. It's 63
Yeah.
hours instead of 64 hours. It would be 8-hour days. It would come to almost 8.
So why couldn't
Want
we
to
do,
say something?
why couldn't, okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing this for any reason besides the fact that I know how the department's short-handed with money and everything else like that. And I'm not asking for 8 days vacation. I'm asking for like 3 or 4 extra days instead. Because I know council's done that in the past with multiple other people. Driver when he was here, J-Mo when he was here, Jamie, Billy, and everything. So basically, it would save the village money, and I'd still be paid.
Well, I was gonna recommend 4 days with the balance and raise.
Is that not good? Is that satisfaction or not?
Well, I'm not, like I said, I'm not asking, I'm trying to save money as much as I can.
Well, if we did it that way, it would turn out to be $20.14 with a 30-cent increase and 4 additional days off. Or wouldn't be quite 4. It would be, well, say almost 4. I'm not going to do the math in my head. I'm sure that would be wrong. So, and we would have to give everyone the option of taking their raise or taking half of it and getting the other half in time off, depending on how much time they were allowed, depending on what they're making. Because you make more and your raise is larger, you have a lot more hours, I think, to choose from. Is there a motion to amend the ordinance,
Yeah.
the handbook ordinance, and allow for people to take their raise, half of it in cash, half of it in money, the other half in paid time off? Is that a motion?
I make a motion.
Is there a second to that? We'll get it written up.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Peggy? Yes. Ralph?
So that would allow Jeremy to make 2014 and have almost 4 additional days off in a year.
Why can't
You okay with
we
that,
just
Jeremy?
make it 4 days and give him the rest in the pay?
That's
Well,
what
I
said.
can do that. I can look and see what
Yeah.
4 days would actually be
Yeah.
and give him, it might not be quite 2014. All right? Now, the other raises.
Why are you shaking your head? No.
Oh, I'm just over
Mandy.
Well, you got something to say it.
We also reviewed Mandy. Chris from the Board of Public Affairs was with us. We also agreed on a 3% increase for her. That would be 1.5% from council, 1.5% from the Board of Public Affairs, and that would make her at 1909, the new rate. There are new rates of 3% increases for Clay Hurd and Brandon and Joel and Eric that we can offer them. Brandon, Joel, or, yeah, Clay, Brandon, and Joel would not be subject to extra time off because they don't get paid time off. But Eric would, so he would have to inform us if he wants it all in cash or not. And these.
What's the other officers making?
Clay is is making 1133 right now. This would bump him up to 1167. Brandon, you ready? Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Brandon and Joel both make 1040. This would bump them to 1071.
Okay.
And Eric makes 1442. It would bump him to 1485. And I think we've got everybody else covered. We'll look at Jeremy's and it'll be somewhere right around 20. And he'll have more additional days off, but we'll figure what that should be. And if that's how he wants to go, and it seems to be maybe that's what he wants.
The other full-time employees, like me and Jimmy, how would they figure their time off if they were awarded it?
Same way. It would be the same
They
thing.
have that option to
They,
either
everybody,
take it off.
everybody who
Well,
is-
not that, they've already had their, no, Amanda has.
No, she has not gotten her raise.
Right.
Jimmy got a raise, what, a month or two ago, and
Do you really?
he would have to wait until the next time around.
I think he probably
Until
would.
the ordinance has been passed.
Well, because we'll have to write this up and do it. And it will be retroactive to their anniversary dates. Is that correct? Whatever raise we
I
give.
think so.
And then these are pretty close. I mean, we're not way off on these, so it won't be a whole lot. But I do think we'll need that ordinance for October, get it done, and then get these raises underway. Is that acceptable to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
So are we voting on it or
We're going to have to vote on the raises,
Yeah.
and then we'll pass the ordinance to allow.
Well, that's kind of backwards.
Well,
Well, you gotta.
no, because all we're doing is vote on it, and then this comes in. So what we'll do is,
You need to approve the 3% raise for both of them. Right.
and for everybody,
Everybody, right, it is cost us, excuse me.
With the option of after the passage of
Yes.
the ordinance.
to go into effect when the ordinance goes
Yes.
into effect, but it will be retroactive.
Which,
Does that suit everybody?
Brandon, Joel, Clay,
They get theirs period,
right,
because they don't
They don't get personal time.
get any time off.
I don't want
These
extra
are paid.
vacation time, so I don't, so really Eric is the only one that would have to wait until he has the option to decide what he wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Visit.
Whenever his review comes up again.
They've done his reviews.
Yeah, it's in the past.
So are you gonna give Eric the option this review period?
Has he already got a raise? He hasn't. We
No,
haven't voted on
that's
it.
what.
So, well, yes, we will.
When's he due?
That's what,
His was in August.
This was in August and he got a raise.
no,
No,
it's
No,
not.
he hasn't gotten it yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
Because
we
this
had to
didn't,
do this.
this didn't come to us until
Okay.
September, okay? Or
Okay.
till the end of August. We had it in August. But
he
it
was
was after the meeting.
He was approved the raise.
No, you're going to
Oh,
do that tonight if you wanted to
Why am
have
I not hearing this?
it. Okay, we're here to approve the raises that have been recommended, and what happened was the reviews have all been done.
Okay.
All the reviews are done. And that's the recommendation of the people, myself, Ralph, Chris, and Jeremy, who did the reviews. That's their recommendation. Now, you are to vote to approve these, and then if Eric wants that option, he can wait until we get the ordinance in place in October.
Okay.
Okay? And then it's retroactive, just like it would be now. If he doesn't want the option, I suppose he could go ahead and have it. The other three get theirs just no matter what, if that
Right.
amount is approved, because they don't have the option for time off, they're part-time.
Okay.
So is there a motion, let's do it separately. Is there a motion to approve the raises for Clay Bird and Brandon Happenberger and Joel Fossman?
I make a
Part-time
motion.
police.
Oh, you have a question?
No, go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the raises for those three
At
officers
3% increase.
at 3% increase.
Thank you.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Peggy? Yes. Ralph?
Is there a motion to approve a 3% raise and the option to take up to half of it in paid time off for Eric, Jeremy, and Mandy? Amanda?
I'll make a motion.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Luther?
Yes.
Peggy? Yes. Ralph?
Yes.
Okay, now we'll get the ordinance passed. Anybody that wants to take their time off instead of half their raise or whatever it comes out to there, may do so after this ordinance is passed. If they don't, if you don't,
That's going to make it hard for you and the
Is it gonna-
special guys too now.
is it going to make it tough on you to be at the same rate for a little while and get it retroactively in a month? Okay, then that's what I think we'll do. Anybody who wants to change just has to wait till we get that other thing back. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry.
So would they, okay, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
We should discuss this before we make a motion. So if they want to change, they can at this time. What about later on? They make a certain decision,
It's an annual thing. You either
Okay.
take it or you don't.
and then they have to wait until the next
You
year.
wait till your next
Okay,
raise
that'll be in
period.
the ordinance.
That'll be in the ordinance.
Okay,
So it's like you decide annually how you want to do it.
okay.
And you can't, no, there's no going back. Great. Okay. Mandy has training on Tuesday, October the 8th, so she will not be in the office on that day. She'll be in Dayton being trained. What are they training you to do?
It's just the refresher course that we have to
You
go
have to
over
take.
every year.
All right. Speaking of training, I have something here that
Do we allow benefits for that for driving and so forth?
she has mileage that she can have. Sure, she gets that.
I have a chauffeur though, so I decided to.
On Thursday, October the
Sure,
3rd,
said that.
I've never done mileage training here.
on Thursday, October the 3rd, from 10 to 11:30, that's in the morning, there's going to be an ethics session, educational training on ethics offered at Eaton in the county commissioner's office. I can make copies of this if somebody wants it.
Yeah.
It would be a good thing to attend. It's not the thing we have to go to, is it? I don't think you can use it instead of, but, I don't know, maybe you can. Because somebody from the Ethics Commission will be there to go over things. So it might be nice if,
So we should go to
you want
that?
to go. Well,
What was the time?
It might be interesting.
it's Thursday, the 3rd of October, from 10 in the morning to 11:30 in the Commissioner's office at Eaton. Okay? We'll make some copies and make sure everybody gets one. We'll
Yeah.
put one in Kim's box if she wants it.
Okay.
There's that, things I'm going to copy. Don't be without it. I have a thing from the Census Bureau about any new construction in the village, new homes is what they're talking about. So that they can make sure that they count everybody. So this is construction since March of 2018 and it's anything that will be occupied by April 1st. So, I'm going to talk to Jimmy, I'm going to look at what we've got and see if there is anything, because then you can send these addresses in and make sure that they are added to the census roll for the village. It helps, it matters, how many people we have and what kind of
Yeah, 'cause
income
I
they
think
have.
we got more people than what they're saying.
Well, I'm thinking we might have, so we're going to try to look at this, and if you can think of a place that's just been rehabbed and people are living in it that they weren't living in before 2018, or new construction, and I'm thinking about, there are some homes up there in Cardinal Hill, but I don't know how long they've been there, up there, you know, Ridge and all that, and how long the home's been there. But if they're less than 2 years old, they may not have the addresses, so we're gonna look into that too. They've probably been there longer.
Yeah, they have. I know that the one on Ridge has been, there's the people that's right up on the hill. They're all by themselves. I think they've been up there for a good 6 years.
There's two houses up there.
There's
Yeah, the one-
I didn't think anybody lived in the one, but do they now?
Yeah, both houses have people that live in it, the one's actually for sale, but
Well, if one of them wasn't occupied before, it wouldn't hurt us to go ahead and send it in if they've already got it.
Yeah.
It won't matter. So we'll try to look at some of that and see if we can come up with anything new that's been redone or that people are in now that they might not have been in before. I have talked to our solicitor about composing a letter. I haven't received about our delinquent tax people, something to send to them. It's another ordinance that we're going to have to write and pass. But until we have the parameters that he wants to put in this letter, we really don't know what to put in the ordinance. We don't want them to not match up. So I'm still waiting on him to get us that, and when he does, we'll start going after these people. At least maybe we'll collect something. Let's see. I did talk to the Chamber of Commerce. I went to the Apple meeting shortly after our last council meeting. And I talked to them about what work was going on up there, and they told me it was the work that was approved 2 years prior, which I figured it was, to put the electricity in the shelters. They didn't get it done the year it was approved, either one of them. They did one of them last year. They were doing the other one this year. I told them that, and we're going to have to remember to invite them to our council meeting next May or next June, whatever's better for them, so they can give us an overview of what they're planning on doing, if anything, on the park grounds. I think maybe they probably won't do anything because we'll be in the middle of, I hope, tearing that building down or just finishing it up by the time they get there. So they may not be going to do anything next year. But if they are, I'd like to know about it. I know you all would like to know about it. We want to ask questions. We can't do that, and it's not good for me to just be the one coming back and reporting. They need to be here at least once a year. So I have asked them that, and we're going to make a point, if I can remember, to invite them so that they do come in. And, you know, because if they had come this spring and refreshed our memories on what they were doing, we'd have been fine. But we can't remember, and we don't know what got done and what didn't. So that's
Speaking of the shelters, did you ever come up with a date? Is there possible to keep them open until after the 6th of October? Have them pick them up like on the 7th?
That's up to you guys, because you always agreed to have a pickup at the end of September.
Well, I thought we had it picked up in October.
I think it was October 1st last year.
they were supposed to be.
It was supposed to be,
Yeah,
now,
a week or two.
whenever they came and picked them up.
What's going to be going on up there?
Well, there's some birthday parties.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about somebody,
Yeah.
yes, somebody doing
They
that.
was wanting to do that, depending on the weather, so we don't know what the weather's gonna be.
Well, no, but do you think it would hurt to hold on for another week or so? Is that all
Until the
it's gonna
7th. The 7th is on a Monday, and the parties are on
be?
Sunday.
On the weekend? Okay.
Whatever you guys decide.
Somebody just.
You can do it to end of October. that way.
Who calls them and tells them when
Which
they...
honestly, it wouldn't be a bad idea. since
Well,
Harvey's
because
having that.
Harvey's gonna have that trunk or treat thing up there, why don't we, is there a motion to just leave the Port John up there until end of October?
Yeah.
Get rid of it November 1st, after all these things, because there are, you know, fall events take place, and we're glad to have them, so.
Yeah,
Would you like to move that we do that?
yeah, I make a motion, we have the porta potties picked up at the end of October.
Second.
First of November.
Whatever.
Whatever day it is, what's best.
Mary Jane,
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Peggy?
Yes.
Other things that they told me was about the building. They were talking about the building up there. And apparently, they're trying to get a judge to forgive the taxes on that building. That's going to cut into our money if that happens, but we're not going to get it anyway. To me, it's up to you all. Because I think they would have to come to us, don't you think?
But it's
And see if we were willing to forgive. You got money that you're putting in now for them to mow up there, and plus their property tax. I think they would have to come here, and I think they'd have to go to the school and have them agree to not to forgive those taxes, but I'm not sure.
Amanda, are you the one they come to when they gets the key for the light box or whatever they need? No. Who does?
Jenny?
This is going to be in the daytime, I don't know, but I just
We'll just
was
turn it
wondering
on.
why those lights weren't shut off.
Well, I don't know why. I mean, I didn't realize they were on.
I didn't either until I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Which lights are you talking?
In the shelter down by the
East
ball
side.
park.
See, none of us are here at night, so we obviously.
I didn't know it either, I just had to go to be a date at 7:30 and
Yeah,
go by.
I'll check on it tomorrow.
They were on.
I'll check.
Surely the police officer shouldn't he have,
I don't have a key.
I have a key.
I don't have a key.
give him a key so the officers, if they're on, can shut them off.
Okay. Now, can we go on?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. I did then, after I went to their meeting and we straightened that out and we talked about those things, they're not going to come willingly, we're going to have to just push them to come down here, I know that. Then I met with Jeff Fincher, he's their executive director, and he wanted you all to know, and I thought he might be here tonight, he had talked about coming tonight, because that's why we have him on the agenda, that they are looking into getting that possession of that building, the old building and loan there, that old building, and
Yeah.
tearing it down, and they want to make a green space out of it, a little park bench and such all, in there. They also are investigating historic sites here in town. They're looking toward tourism and what they can do to build that up. There's also the downtown revitalization grants, which this council would have to apply for and participate in if they get enough interest to do them. Well, Lewisburg did a lot of revitalizing in their downtown. They don't offer as much now as they did then, but that's better for us anyway, because it would be less money that we would be trying to get. You can do 3 businesses, 3 storefronts, whatever, at a time on a grant sheet. Then you can ask for another one. Who knows if you would get it or not. But I think the people who bought Lois's property there,
Who bought it?
I don't know their names, do you know who that is? Have expressed an interest in maybe participating in that and having 3 storefronts in that building. It's, might be, yeah, that sounds right to me, Oswald.
Oh, that's a guy shop.
No, not Oswald.
Not
Oswald. And I think it's a D, Oswald.
I saw that
Is it a
on
D?
TV.
I think it's a D.
I did.
If, I don't know what's going to come up about it. I don't know if anything will come of it. But he wanted you all to know, and I do too, that it's a possibility that we might be asked to participate in that, to try. And if we can get businesses in here that are viable, it's in our own best interest to raise our tax base and do a little something and make it look nicer down there. So I wanted to fill you in on that. Fireworks will not be at the campground next year, and the campground is not going to participate in the fireworks. They're doing their floats and all those things, and so they've got their money going a different direction. Chamber is looking at 2 different locations, one on that end of town, one down here in the ballpark, to see about maybe doing fireworks. They seem to think they can raise the money, but they'll have to try to find a place to do it. The other thing is, if you didn't know it, the triathlon has been postponed to spring time. It's not going to be this coming weekend because the organizer became ill and get it done and didn't want to fluff it. He wanted it to be nice, so they decided, I think, to postpone it until sometime next spring. I don't think I have anything else to report for the chamber. I do have one more question, I should have asked this earlier. Alley behind that house is on the west side of Hutton Street. We need to find out if that is still an open alley.
On Hutton, the one that used to go down between the houses.
This is where Linda Broughton lives, where Linda Johnson.
Yeah, that was
Behind
closed a
her
long
house,
time
the
ago.
one behind her house is closed.
It's been closed for
Okay,
years.
okay.
I thought there was storm sewer.
There is something, there's
Yeah.
a manhole in there, so,
We had trouble a while back in that area with,
but the alley was vacated, is that correct?
It was, but I don't know where the proof is to
There
say
should
it
be
was.
something in the ordinances.
I know there should be, but they didn't always do it. They should have a copy of it at the courthouse, though.
Yes, they should, because the
well, they want.
property owner should have. No, I had a call from her son, Chad, from Linda's son, who said it was really in bad shape, and he didn't really know if it was still an open alley or not. And I said, neither do I, but I'll try to
No,
find out.
I'm sure it was closed years ago.
Well, it might have been closed as an alley, but we still have.
Right, to go back there on
We
the
have piping in that
Yeah.
ground back there.
Yeah.
Okay, I will just.
Well, the alleys are in a heck of a mess. And there's gonna have to be letters sent to the property owners that live those alleys. You can't hardly get through some of them. And a lot of them are so lumpy, they needed grade off and they needed, regrind in them
Some of
too.
the grinding.
They've done a lot of that. They have done right.
That one, that alley behind, Eric Green and Ray Van Winkle, especially there at the end of where Sandy Bright's old flower shop used to be. It is a heck of a mess. I mean, it is lumpy. But the bushes and the trees and all the alleys,
Oh, we
people's
broke
not
it.
taking
Yeah.
care of it.
Yeah, you can't even get in there to maintain them.
No,
Okay, well, that's something we can talk about, see if we can't do something about it.
I know.
Well, I mean, if they're open alleys, we maybe should have that in the maintenance ordinance, that we're gonna put everything for the kitchen sink in.
But most of people's put fences up and it's their place to be doing that. So I think we're gonna have to start sending letters just for that, to get them between the alleys.
Okay. Is there any further business?
No, did we decide anything on the kitchen roads? Oh, well.
Ralph's gonna look at that little area there and see what he thinks we can do with that. The only other thing I have is, John Bell, who came and talked about the aggregate of electricity
Oh,
here,
okay.
has come back and asked about aggregating the natural gas usage. If we want to do that, it has to go on the ballot, and we can't do that until this primary next spring, so it might be cost effective to do it then, but we'll have to look into it. And so it's something that he's been wondering about. We want to think about whether we want to try to aggregate the use of natural gas and get a good price. He said it's good now, but I think it doesn't want to be by May. So that's just something else that we need to put on our to-do list. Anything else? Next meeting will be Monday, October 7th at 7. Yes, Ken?
What about this chair there?
What about it?
Who's gonna replace Aaron?
Do you want
The 30
to?
days is over with.
Well, I know, but I'm giving the council the time. Do you want to go ahead and move that we offer it to him? And if he doesn't want it, then we'll just not.
When we leave here, I'm going to buy it.
Do you want to make a motion to offer the council seat to Mort Match?
I do. I want to make a motion to offer the seat to Mort Match.
He has expressed an interest. Rodney Dunn has sent me a message today and said he wants to withdraw his name
Okay.
for consideration. So there's
And I will go by there and talk to Mort tonight, and I'll have an answer tonight.
Okay. There's a motion to offer it to Mort. Is there a second?
What are we
Who
doing?
made,
We're going to offer
Made
him
the
the
motion.
position. If he wants it, then we'll get him sworn in, okay?
Yeah,
And if he doesn't, then we know that I got to find somebody else.
Because it's your responsibility now.
It is now.
Now the 30 days are over, so it's now your responsibility.
Lucky
And he called us, and he wanted to do that he didn't want to
Yes.
do it.
Rodney did.
And then he's gonna go see if he's, well,
No, it's Mort Mash now.
oh, Mort Mash.
Different person.
Oh.
Rodney doesn't want it, he
So
reported it.
Rodney's out.
Yes,
Rodney's out.
he's taken himself.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the word Mort.
Okay, that's fine.
Did you
There's
say it?
there's a
Yeah.
motion to offer the position to Mort, and a second.
Mary
And we already voted.
Luther,
Peggy, you didn't vote.
I didn't vote.
No.
Becky,
Yes.
Ralph.
All right, do it.
I will go by and talk to him when I leave
He's
here.
interested.
Okay.
All right, this meeting is adjourned, and thank you all. I'm sorry, I should have been a lot